Alright dreamers, it's that time again. The Warframe dev stream has just finished and we got so much info. Not only did we learn everything about Uriel, the new Warframe, but also there's a brand new weapon class coming. We now have all the details about the upcoming update, the old Ps, including the release date, which is sooner than we all thought, and so much more. So as always, in this dev stream recap, you're gonna get all the infos. Big shoutouts to all our generous channel members, and now let's jump right into it. Let's start out with some rapid-fire quick news as we usually do. First of all, Soulframe. I don't want to get too much into that because I already released a big video on Soulframe this week. Soulframe has started in its official Founders phase, so if you're excited about it, you can now purchase a Founders package to get instant access to the game and also some in-game items and all. If you want to know more about that and you haven't seen my Soulframe video already, then check that out later. For today though, that shall be everything about it. Next, as every year, on Christmas we have the Tennobaum event, starting on December 1st, lasting till January 6th. This is a big gifting event in the game, where basically the community gets incentivized and rewarded for gifting as much in-game stuff to other players as possible. There will be a gifting incentive, and if the community as a whole meets that, then we can unlock these beautiful glyphs right here in the background. Plus, there's also a charity that Digital Extremes are supporting called Big Brothers Big Sisters, and if that, in-game gifting incentive is met, then DE will give $60,000 to that charity. Then, up next, if you want to have a lot of Prime Warframes and Prime stuff, then listen up closely. Because on December 18th, I think they first said 16th and then they said 18th, so I don't really know which one of those two dates it is now. But yeah, in mid-December, there will be a big Prime Resurgence end of the year event. I was honestly a little bit confused about it because I kind of don't remember how it was last year, if they just unvault everything or just a whole lot. Anyway, what they showed was this art right here in the background, so we can pretty surely expect these Warframes to have their primed versions coming back from Resurgence. So, if you still need the primes of all of them, then that's gonna happen for you in mid-December. Very quick next, a look into the year 2026, where Warframe is going to be at PAX East again. They're going to have a Tenno VIP party, as well as a panel, if I understood it right, at PAX East. More infos about that in 2026. Just, if you're in Boston or near there, then you can probably look forward to a nice VIP party. Up next, let's talk a bit about Tennocon, because we have a date for the ticket sale. Tickets for Tennocon 2026, if you want to go there in person, will start selling on February 27th, that's actually my birthday, starting at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. If you want to go there in person, then you need to be quick, because last year they were sold out in like a minute or so. It was crazy, a lot of people didn't get one, so just that you know, mark this down in your calendar. We also got info on the pricing. I'm just gonna put you an overview in the background right now, just so that you know what to expect. And before we move on to the next point, they did say there will also be another Tenno concert. It's going to be a 2-day event again, but this time it's not going to be apparently the Warframe band themselves during the concert, but another band, and it's also not going to be rock themed, but they didn't tell us what it was. So yeah, be curious about that. Up next, if you like Dagath, and you actually like her so much that you call her Dagath and not Dagath like absolutely everybody else, then you're gonna be eating good next year, because to celebrate the Lunar New Year, which is gonna be the year of the horse coming up, we're gonna get a Dagath Deluxe skin, which you can see on screen right now, at least the key art for it. And I think this one looks really darn cool, but that's just not it, because year of the horse and all, we're also gonna get a Cave Deluxe skin, which looks stunning too. And if you rather have the little cuddly version of it, there's also a floof for that Cave Deluxe skin. Those skins will be available in February 2026. And in case you think that looks really cool, but you don't have Dagath just yet, then don't worry, there will be special alerts launching in January 2026, where you can get, the normal Dagath Warframe from those alerts. And then the final quote-unquote housekeeping point of today would be the Android closed beta. They said that it launched today, and that the first closed beta keys for that Android beta are going out in the first batches as we're speaking right now. Apparently there's still some bugs with the launcher on certain Samsung devices right now. They're working on fixing that as we speak. But yeah, if you're excited about this, then this is finally some good news on that front. And if you've already signed up for the closed beta, then who knows? maybe you're gonna have one of those sought-after keys in your inbox very soon. Going forward, how about we talk about our next Prime Warframe? That's right, Gyre Prime is coming with the brand new update. She didn't launch in November as she usually should have. No, she's gonna come with the old piece update, and this right here is how she looks like in-game. She's gonna come with her 2 signature weapons, the Kestrel Prime as well as the Alternox Prime. You do see the stats for those weapons in the background right now, but they did say it's the development build. It could theoretically still change till release, so don't get too excited or too sad just yet. Overall, I think the design is absolutely beautiful, and you've been requesting me to do a gyro guide for so long. That's gonna happen very, very soon. However, now that we're already talking about pretty ladies, Gyre is not the only power woman that we need to talk about here, because Wolf Lady Voruna will also be blessed, not with a Prime just yet, but with a Deluxe skin, which you can see on screen right here. So if you are a wolf lover, that might be something for you. If I'm being completely 100% honest, I feel like the looks of that Deluxe skin are a bit too metallic for my personal liking. I don't really know what to think about that skin just yet. And she comes with another little treat, and that would be a Deluxe Axe skin, which I think that one looks actually pretty good. You can see it on screen in the background. Just keep that in mind. But okay, let's talk about the big elephant in the room, the old piece, the new Warframe update coming in December. First of all, when will it release? Release date was confirmed today is going to be December the 10th, so relatively early. I was actually expecting second half of December, but hey, I'm not gonna complain. That's less than 2 weeks away, and there is so much to come. So let's go over it. First of all, just as a quick recap, in the previous dev streams, we've already gotten a glimpse into 2 of the main features. First of all, there's going to be the visual overhaul for operators. I'm not going to go too much into the details here because if you want to see all about that, then you can check out my older Devstream recaps. But long story short, operators and drifters, because the update is very much focused on that, will look so much prettier. We have new visual options, and in general, the whole thing is going to look more 2025 than 2012 finally. As for the mechanical part of the update, the old piece is basically going to be split in 2 main sections, and that will be the Devil's Triad on the one side. That is what they talked about in more detail in the last dev stream, with the 3 new characters, Proto-Harrow, Proto-Wisp, and Proto Uriel, where their side of the update is going to revolve more around their personal stories, which you can explore in the Kim system, just like with the other Proto characters as well, and the brand new game mode, Descendia, which is going to be a great new thing to get more rewards. It's a game mode where you basically go down 21 floors, each and every one of them only taking like 1 to 3 minutes, with varying tasks all across the board, incorporating basically your entire arsenal. You're gonna have combat challenges, movement-focused tasks, we've seen necromech fights, and overall to me it seems like if you want to max this one out, then you basically just gotta have it all, pretty much all the mechanics that are important in Warframe. That was the quick recap of what we already know. In today's dev stream though, they finally unveiled the second half of the update, which is called the Perita Rebellion. That's also what we saw in the Tennocon trailer, the trench warfare against the Separatists and all. That's what we're going to talk about now, and it is quite a lot to get into. Okay, so first of all, we have a very controversial decision. Naturally, there will be a full, round about 1 hour and 10 minutes long cinematic quest for the old piece, that has already been teased at Tennocon. We didn't get any further spoilers, so I don't want to get too much into that. If you want to play that quest, then you have to finish the Warframe storyline until the Lotus Eaters quest. You gotta have that one finished too. However, the big difference here is that not only veterans can jump into this whole new game mode and all, but the Descendia game mode that we just talked about and the brand new Perita Rebellion game mode that we're about to get into, all of this will also be available for brand new starters. Like, you can literally create a Warframe account and jump into that right away to play with your veteran friends. I know this is a very controversial decision, but in my personal opinion, right, the Warframe community keeps repeating and repeating and repeating that it's never about the meta and that everybody should play the game the way they want to. And then the moment they make something accessible to new players, the gatekeepers come out and they're like, "Nah, you're playing the game wrong." And honestly, you know what? I don't care. If somebody wants to jump into the game and just hack away some enemies without caring even the tiniest bit for the story, then hey, let them. I know not everybody will like that, and they did say that they're gonna closely monitor the entire situation, and if it goes down the drain, they're gonna pull that feature from the game again. And in addition to that, if players lower than Master Rank 10 take this jump instantly to the new game mode, they will not be able to queue for public matchmaking, so they're not going to be a burden for more elite squads, so to speak. And with all that in mind, I think it's hurting absolutely nobody else if newer players get to experience that game mode right away, so honestly, why be upset about it? But yeah, speaking of the new game mode, let's finally get into it. What this Perita Rebellion is basically an exploration of 3 different quote-unquote war stories. Each and every one of those scenarios will put you on the battlefield for exactly 12 minutes, and within this time frame, you gotta try to finish as many mini-tasks as possible that the game will give you before the timer runs out. Once the timer reaches 0, you're gonna fight in one of 3 new epic boss battles, and depending on how many of those mini-tasks you successfully achieved, you will be more powerful going into that boss fight, so it's basically a situation of 12-minute preparation, get as strong as possible, and then try to clap the boss. Now, within those battlefield missions, we have a few new mechanics, for example a grappling hook system that helps us cross the battlefield faster, that looks kinda cool, and there's also going to be mini-boss fights sprinkled in throughout this 12-minute time frame that can also go up against other Prime Warframes. Isn't that cool? Have you missed the Spectres on the junctions? Yeah, me neither. But now here comes the interesting part. Once those 12 minutes are over and you've done your mini-tasks, you've accumulated power, that is when the final boss fight starts. There will be 3 different final boss fights. We've only seen 1 so far in the dev stream, and this one looked quite cool. There was this boss arena with a lot of grappling hooks in the air, and essentially similar to Eidolons, you take down weak spots across the body, which then unlocks the health bar segments, and at the end, this boss right here went into a second phase that takes place up in orbit in Arcwing mode, so these things actually see some use outside of fast travel across the globe, and overall this looked like a very darn epic boss fight. We don't know if the other 2 boss fights will be Arcwing as well, or maybe Necromech or something completely different. They didn't say anything about that. And it's also very important to note, the timer, the 12 minutes, will only be for the mission that comes before it. The boss fight itself will not be timed, so you can take all the time in the world. But anyway, you might be wondering, why are we doing these 3 war stories in the first place? And this is exactly where the new focus system comes into play. As we already knew, the focus system with the focus schools is going to be expanded with the old Peace update, where they will introduce new focus ultimates. I'm just going to put you some animations in the background right now. And every focus school will have one of these ultimates that will vary quite a bit, plus there's going to be new nodes in the focus tree, and in order to unlock all of this, that is what you have to play these 3 missions from the Perita Rebellion for. In order to unlock the focus ultimates called the Tauron strikes, you will need special exclusive resources that you can only obtain from these 3 missions, and then once you've acquired all of that from playing, you can go to Marie, Proto-Wisp, give that to her and she will be sort of the vendor, and from her then you can get the unlocks for those 5 Tauron ultimate strikes. However, the Focus School expansion, with the new nodes and the Tauron strikes on top, that's still not everything when it comes to operators. Nope, they've been cooking even harder, because when you equip those Tauron strike weapons on your operator, then there is going to be another modding interface. That's right, those weapons can now also be modded, there's an arcane slot, and they said there's going to be a total of 25 different mods for those weapons. They didn't really show all too much about it and what they do. It's probably gonna be our job as YouTubers to figure out. Overall, I'm honestly very excited about it. I've never been too much of an operator type of person, but I will take a much deeper look into that once the update goes live. Of course, 4 early guides at release. Sub to the channel if you don't want to miss them day one, and welcome to the crew. Oh yeah, post-edit Blacky here, almost forgot to say now that we're already talking about all the rewards that you can get from those game modes. In Ulbrecht's Cathedral, where you find Proto-Wisp, you can also talk to Roth, a Proto-Uriel, and he is the vendor for a lot of different titles that will also be introduced with the update. Just a quick overview in the background right now on screen. Didn't want to leave that little feature out. Whew, that was quite a lot about the Perita Rebellion, which is only one of the 2 sides of this update. It's gonna be a big one. But that's still not everything, because, there is this certain new Warframe called Uriel, who is also gonna launch with that update, and you can get him from playing the Descendia. That's the other game mode with the hell elevator going down and everything. In this dev stream, we finally saw the entire kit, all the abilities from Uriel revealed, and he is quite a complex one. Like, they took, 10 minutes just talking about the passive alone. So before I get into it right now, why don't I let the man, the legend himself, take it away for you?
Let's start with the passive. So the passive is he has 3 friends that you can see in screen. Each one unlocks as you unlock your abilities. So Katnak loves to chain people. He will release a chain against enemies, and basically any enemies chained share damage. So if you hit one, they get slowed, and if you hit one, then everyone else takes the damage.
Golfagor! Golfagor, what are you doing? Behave, boy.
So Golfagor likes to hug people. He prioritizes high priority targets, and if you shoot them, a bunch of orbs come out, so you can basically use them for support of yourself and your team. Vitalis goes to wherever you kill enemies and summons a rune from them. When you pick it up, you gain fire rate and elemental heat ammos. We're done with the passive. Now let's start with the actual abilities. His first ability we already showed before. You create a fire aura, and then if you use your tab, you can fly around. The second ability is much simpler. It actually heals and revives if your demons at any point died, or if you need a heal, just cast it, everyone comes back, everyone's healed. No more painful statuses on you. And then on your third one, we need some enemies to showcase that one. You will rip out a little piece of their souls and launch it forward to attack enemies around. It will set them to vulnerability, so you look at their health bars, it's kind of broken, so they take more damage. And also synergizes with your wand, so if you have your wand up, they get the aura as well, so when they're traveling, they're setting everyone on fire as well. And finally, for the fourth, honestly the fourth is better to show than to explain. And everything's on fire and everything dies.
And there goes Pete. Get doing work, boy. Get him. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pablo, for explaining that. I am very excited for Uriel. Of course, day one guide is something that I'm going to be working on once he launches. But Uriel also comes with a very special signature weapon. This one is going to call the Vincubus. And at first glance, it looks like, just a World War I themed semi-automatic rifle. But in reality, it's a completely new weapon class, because when you equip the Vincubus, then it will be in your primary as well as in your melee slot at the same time. This thing has a bayonet on it, meaning it's a primary and a melee weapon together. You can individually mod them, where, you use the rifle mods and everything to put in the primary version of it. And then, the melee mods, melee arcanes, melee influence, electricity, we all know how it's gonna end, right? That is what you're gonna put in the melee version mod slots. And given the somewhat spaghetti-codey nature of Warframe, I think it's gonna take around about 3.5 hotfixes before all the unintentionally broken synergies that will come from this whole shenanigans before that will be fixed. So looking forward to quite a lot of videos on it. But yeah, after all the talk about the Perita Rebellion as well as Uriel, how about we talk a bit about even more loot? That's right, baby, there's gonna be a whole new operation coming also in December. To be precise, on December 16th, that is when the Operation Blood of Perita will launch, and they didn't say exactly what's gonna come as rewards for that operation, but it's gonna include having to play, the Perita Rebellion game mode, and they said that it will bring new items, but also a whole bunch of other items that came into the game throughout the entire year. Just one very quick sneak peek they gave us. This right here is a totally legally distinct, definitely not Warhammer 40k inspired Cyandana. That will be from that operation. I think that looks pretty darn cool, and if you want that, then, play the operation once it comes out. Whew, that was quite the long Devstream recap. I wish you all a great start into the weekend. No big call to action. Sub to the channel if you want to see more Warframe stuff, of course. Another massive shout out to Niels V, Demon Nortzel, Demon Emperor, Emperor Prime, Nost Linux Gaming, Turtle Pier, Underkanio 2, Skyla Bowser, Mihawki, Socrates the Almighty Rat, Leo Morazaki, Shadow Lockhart, Hound Tagas, Patrasator, Boomia1, Mr. Games Plays, Zave, Awindai, and all other generous channel members for your continuous support. We see each other hopefully in the next one, and until then, as always, good loot.